So there were 4 teams that didn't get a W in the month of November. You had the New England Patriots, they went 0-3, and you gotta wonder at this point, is Bill Belichick gonna find a new job this offseason? You had the New York Jets, they lost all 4 of their games, but Aaron Rodgers, he was back at practice, so that's a bright spot. Then you have the Carolina Panthers, they didn't win a game, and they fired their head coach, and they gotta regret taking Bryce Young or CJ Stroud at this point.
And you got the Detroit Pistons, who lost all 15 games in November. I mean, talk about a bad month. After losing to the Cavs, it's up to 17 straight, and they're currently on pace for the worst season in NBA history. So just a good job all around.
Before we start talking about how god-awful the Detroit Pistons are right now, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on any new videos. Obviously, this Pistons team has been bad for a while at this point. I mean, the most wins they've had in the past 4 seasons was 23. Cade's rookie year. Imagine that. 23 wins is your best season the past 4 seasons.
And they've gotten worse.
Yeah, and you can make it 5 at this point. They're not winning more than 23 games this year, I'll tell you that.
No.
They have 2 playoff appearances in the past 14 seasons, and they have not won a playoff game, just a playoff game, not a series, since 2008.
We were both 10 years old.
Yep.
We're both 25 now.
Imagine being a Pistons fan. You haven't seen a playoff win since you were 10 and you graduated college and got a job and maybe a family at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly kind of weird in the grand scope of NBA history for the Pistons to be as bad as they are because, I mean, pre-2008, you could make an argument that they were kind of one of the iconic franchises of the NBA. I mean, in the mid-2000s, they were dominant, made 6 straight conference finals, won the title in 2004. That team was regarded as one of the best defensive teams in NBA history. I mean, they completely shut down the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. And then before that, in the 90s, obviously, you got the bad boy Pistons, beat the out of Michael Jordan, won 2 titles. Like, they were in that kind of like, you know, in terms of like the most iconic teams in the league, probably like that 5 to 8 range. You know, they're a pretty successful franchise and they've been dog ass for basically 15 years.
Yeah, it's weird because when I first started watching the NBA, it was like the tail end of that Pistons team with like Sheed, Ben Wallace, Chauncey, and all that. And they were one of the best teams in the league. Like, they were the team you played up against. Like, oh, we're taking L tonight.
They were the Eastern Conference standard bearers.
Yeah, we're putting up 67 points. We're taking the L. And literally since then, since they traded Chauncey that one year, ever since they've just been shit.
I mean, you trade your finals MVP,
right?
Who won you a title in 2004. I don't want to say the Pistons are cursed, but doing some dumb shit like that is the kind of thing that gets you cursed.
Yeah, it really is. Fast forward to last season, the Pistons were by far the worst team in the league. They went 17-65. This was 5 games worse than the next lowest record, both the Spurs and Rockets, who won 22 games. A big reason for that was Cade was out, their only somewhat decent player. He played only 12 games. He had a stress fracture in his leg. Their other actual, I guess, decent player you could say is Bojan Bogdanovic, and it's important to note, apparently there was a report that came out recently, they were offered 2 first-round picks for him last season, and they turned it down.
Stupid.
What the hell are they thinking? They're going to get 3 for him or 4? What are they thinking?
I don't care if the best team in the NBA offers you their first round picks for like the next 2 years. You take that.
Yeah. Due to their record, they had a 14% chance to win the lottery and get Wemby. The worst possible pick they could get was the 5th pick, and they ended up with the 5th pick.
They got the 5th pick. The Pistons got a Piston.
Yeah,
man.
it's just what's going to happen. You got to give them some credit, though. They drafted Asar Thompson, and looking at the Blazers who drafted Scoot, that's not looking like a bad pick at the moment.
No, it's looking pretty good. He can't shoot for but neither can Scoot, so.
Yeah.
And then they gave Monty Williams the bag in the offseason. 6 years, $78 million. And like, Monty Williams is a really good coach, and I think it's a great hire, like, in a vacuum for the Pistons, but like, that's the money like Nick Saban gets at Alabama.
That's crazy.
Like, they're paying him over $10 million a year, and Monty Williams is a great coach, but me, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's about all they did. I mean, they re-signed Isaiah Stewart, they brought in Joe Harris, Monte Morris.
That'll do it. It's weird because they actually had a pretty good start to the year, at least for their standards. I mean, they had their first game against the Heat, lost by 1 on the road, took them to the very end. And then you know what? You win 2 games against the Hornets and the Bulls. Now, it's the Hornets and the Bulls, but when you're the Pistons, I mean, beggars can't be choosers. They haven't won a game since.
That's crazy.
Their last win was October 28th. It is December.
It was before Halloween. Imagine if they go from Halloween to Christmas without getting a W.
Oh, man.
It could happen.
It could happen. It might happen.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a sec, but hell.
Yeah, the longest losing streak in NBA history is 26 games. That was the trust the process, Philadelphia 76ers, and then the Cavs right after LeBron left. So they're not quite there yet.
Not the company you want to keep, though.
Yeah, but and you look at their schedule, they have a game against the Grizzlies they could win, but then they play the Pacers, the 76ers. Like, if they don't win this game against the Grizzlies, it's not looking too good for them.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it before, but I mean, probably one of the big reasons this team is absolutely terrible is that they don't have Bojan Bogdanovic, who was, in Cade's absence, their best player from last year. And look, he's no all-star by any means, but he was their leading scorer, and he's a good shooter. And this team doesn't have a lot of shooters, doesn't have a lot of scorers, and they don't have a lot of veterans. So, like, if you actually do want to win a couple of games, you do kind of need a guy like that.
Also, Cade hasn't been great. I said Cade breakout year. That obviously hasn't happened. Personally, though, I know I'm a Cade fan. Even then, I'm giving him a bit of a break.
Oh, you would.
I would, but
would.
His biggest strength is what? It's setting up his teammates.
Yeah.
That's hard to do when you're on the Detroit Pistons and there's nobody to set up.
That is a fair point. I'll give you that. That's a fair point.
Yeah, he's got that. Jalen Duren, he was one of their few bright spots. He's missed a couple games recently. And really, their only other bright spot is Asar Thompson. We talked about him a bit. Good defender, good rebounder, but he's shooting 13.5% from 3.
Bad.
That's awful.
I mean, Scoop might be worse.
He might be.
But still, that's not a high bar to clear.
That's really bad.
Rest of the roster's terrible too. Killian Hayes is their starting point guard for some reason. Don't know why.
Why are they starting him over Ivy?
Jaden Ivey is playing better off the bench. He's shooting better, he's scoring more, and yet Killian Hayes is still starting because I don't know why.
And we got to give some to Kevin Knox. I'm sorry. I know you're on the Blazers last year, but he shouldn't be in the league. And not only is he in the league, he's started 2 games for this team so far.
Ugh. So where does the streak end? If it ends. I mean, maybe they could just lose out.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they'll find a way to win a game in mid-December. I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe it'll be that Grizzlies game. I mean, for a second, it looked like they might be able to beat the Cavs on Saturday. They were up late in the game and then just completely collapsed. But I don't know. If they don't win that Grizzlies game, this could get ugly.
Well, I mean, you said they don't win a game till mid-December. Mid-December's still like another week away.
True.
So, maybe they could lose a couple more games. And like, I mean, you said it. They've had a few close games. They took the Bucks to the wire on November 8th. They had a close game against the Nuggets a few weeks ago. But then they came out a couple games ago and got blasted by almost 20 at home by the Wizards. And if you can't not only beat the Wizards at home, you can't even make the game competitive.
Yeah.
What game are you gonna win? Who are you gonna beat?
I don't know at that point. And it has to be said, they're currently on pace for the worst season in NBA history. Right now, the worst season ever is held by the Charlotte Bobcats during that lockout-shortened season. Their winning percentage was .106. Right now, the winning percentage of the Detroit Pistons is .100. So they have a 10% chance of winning a basketball game as it tips. That is awful. So what do you guys think? Is this Detroit Pistons team the worst team in NBA history? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving a like. And hey, while you're here, check out some of our other content as well. And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.